This conference will now be recorded.
Hello everyone, and thank you for attending the BAASS Bridge Sage and Tech session today. My name is Bharti Mesuria. I'm the Practice Lead Development and Management Consulting here at BAASS, and I will be speaking about the BAASS Bridge for Sage and Tech today. BAASS Bridge has been developed by the BAASS team internally to support integrations between many systems, including Sage and Tech. Our team has had a lot of experience based on the client requests for different types of integration, and what we did was we collectively gathered the requirements and prepared the integration engine called the BAASS Bridge to support the different types of data flow in and out of Sage Intacct systems. And this allows us to quickly put together any integration that is required with the Sage Intacct system. At BAASS, we have a dedicated practice for development and integrations. Our developers are trained by Sage Intacct, so they fully understand the protocols of writing and reading data from Sage Intacct. We've developed other add-ins as well that work with Sage Intacct, and this has given the team a lot of experience in terms of how Sage Intacct works with the APIs and so forth. We've also developed a number of client-specific customizations and integrations with the BAASS Bridge. BAASS Bridge supports both cloud-based system integrations as well as on-premise. So if you're running, let's say, a hosted payroll system or a cloud-based payroll system, and you have a custom system that's running on a SQL, you can use the same engine, the BAASS Bridge, to achieve both system integrations with your Sage Intacct. So it's one engine that will pull data from multiple systems in and out of Sage Intacct. Here's an example of what we've done for some of our clients. They have a customer billing system that's custom solution in-house. It's a SQL-based solution, and Sage Intacct, as you know, is a cloud-based solution. And what we've done is we've used the BAASS Bridge to pull the revenue data from the custom customer billing system into Sage Intacct to create the revenue entries. And we are also syncing the customer master data, the name, the address, and so forth, from Sage Intacct to the custom billing system, so they don't have to maintain the customer's data in two different systems. And this is just one example of the integration that we have done using the BAASS Bridge. Here's another example. We've done a number of payroll integrations with Sage Intacct. We've done for GL-based, for time-based, for different types of data from and into payroll systems using the BAASS Bridge with Sage Intacct. The BAASS Bridge has different types of settings, so nothing is hard-coded, and this allows your organization to implement the BAASS Bridge as an integration engine, but yet make sure that you are allowed to change the parameters as your business change and evolve. So when we implement the BAASS Bridge, we'll understand the different parameters that you are likely to change, and we'll make them configurable for you in the BAASS Bridge to support your integration. We also build the data mapping. So in this example, a client is syncing data from Shopify into Sage, and if they have different payment methods in Shopify than in Sage Intacct, and again, that's not hard-coded, we allow and support the data mapping through the BAASS Bridge. The BAASS Bridge allows the integration to be either a scheduled process, so you can actually say, I want to run the integration every 10 minutes, every hour, every once a day, or so forth. You can configure and just let it run when it's ready to run. We also allow you the on-demand process. So your month-end, you're running in your month-end and you want to sync your data as of now, you're able to go into Sage Intacct and press a button and you're able to sync the data at that point in time. So we support both scheduled as well as on-demand process. And in either of these processes, if there are any errors, we will notify a designated user by email so that they can check and verify what the errors are and correct them to sync the data again. This is what the on-demand process would look like. This is an example with Salesforce integration, whereby once you launch and say, I want to sync let's say my invoice information or revenue information right at this point in time, you're able to launch the screen and hit the process button to sync the data at that time. so you don't have to wait for that scheduled time. If there are any errors, we have, like I mentioned earlier, error logs are emailed to a designated user or email account, and they're able to review and correct before syncing the data again. This is an example that we've created with the BAASS Bridge integration for, between Shopify and Sage Intacct. When you receive new orders in your Shopify web store, we monitor those new orders, and we create them in Sage Intacct as your sales orders. So this is just an example, behind the scenes. The BAASS Bridge looks at the new data or change data, such as customers, orders, payments, refunds, shipments, invoices, inventory changes, and syncs the data between Shopify and Sage Intacct. We've also done integration with Amazon to Sage Intacct. Here's an example. Same thing, as new orders are received into your Amazon web store, we sync the data into Sage Intacct order entry module. With the BAASS Bridge, we've also allowed for a secured download of data from Sage Intacct to any offline server. With the BAASS Bridge, you're able to establish a secure connection to Sage Intacct using the API connection. We download either all or selected data from Sage Intacct, and we save it onto a local server. That local server can be either physically, present in your offices or anywhere in the cloud. As long as it's accessible by the BAASS Bridge, it'll save the data there for you to review at a later point. You're able to schedule these backups, again, based on your needs. And once you have the data backup on your local server, you are able to run reports from the downloaded data as well. So for example, if you take a backup, let's say as of yesterday, you'll create a snapshot and save it on your server, and then you take another backup today, it'll create a second snapshot and date stamp both of them. When you run the reports, you have the ability to say, I want to run reports as of yesterday or as of today's backup. So you're able to pick and choose the data that you want to use. This is just an example of Sage Intacct data that I've selected specific entities from Sage Intacct to backup. And that's because I wanted to run employee utilization report. So the specific objects that I've selected. So this is how you would pick and choose what you need to back up for your reporting purposes. Here's the backup history. As I mentioned, it creates snapshots and date and timestamp set, and you're able to configure how long you want to keep these backup on your servers. If you say you want to delete every 30 days, it'll automatically go and delete those backups for you. Once you have the backup done, you're able to see, the different entities that you've backed up, how many records you have. You're able to export the data in Excel and so forth. As I mentioned earlier, you're also able to generate reports using the data that you've backed up. And the reports are basically drag and drop style. You're able to just pull the columns that you need. You're able to use the data on screen, or you're able to download the data in Excel and so forth. So in summary, the BAASS Bridge allows you to push data into Sage Intacct from any other system, pull the data from Sage Intacct and write to any other system. You're able to create data backups offline. So if you want to pull all of your data from Sage Intacct or selected data onto a different server, you're able to do that using BAASS Bridge. And then you're able to report on that data as well, as I mentioned in the last few slides. With that, I will conclude the session. If there are any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat session. Thank you.